Hello my beautiful lovelies, hi, it's Emmy, welcome back. Today I'm going to attempt to make a faux penguin egg, a fake DIY homemade penguin's egg. Why? Well, because it was brought to my attention by lovely Delone that penguins' eggs, particularly penguins' eggs that come from the Falkland Islands, also known as gentoo penguins, have a white that is not white at all. So as recently as the 1950s, it was possible to collect penguins' eggs from these nests and to eat them. Apparently they are 2 or 3 times larger than a standard chicken egg and much rounder in shape. So what's really interesting about this particular bird's egg is that when you boil the egg, the white portion was actually translucent or semi-clear, and the yolk inside was a bright orange yellow color. But generally speaking, quite similar to a chicken's egg, the yolk was very crumbly and it was eaten mashed on toast. And of course, because penguins have a different diet than chickens, the egg also tasted different. It tasted much fishier because they eat a lot of fish. So now the gentoo penguin unfortunately is considered somewhat endangered, and this practice of eating their eggs is no longer practiced, and I know that I'll never be able to eat one of these eggs. So I thought I'd try to recreate them because in my research I read that a former researcher who really loved these eggs found that if you took a duck egg and you put a little bit of sardine oil, the oil that sardines come tinned in, on top of the boiled egg, and you mash that up, that it tasted very similar to this penguin's egg. Essentially what I'm going to be making is a raindrop cake with an egg yolk topped with sardine oil. Sounds really attractive when I phrase it that way, but I think it's going to just be absolutely stunning. And because everybody, including myself, loves eggs and everything related to eggs, I'm also going to be testing out this little gadget. And this little gadget's called the Negg, and it's an egg peeler, and it was sent to me by Lee. Lee, thank you so much for sending this to me. She very thoughtfully sent this to me along with some instructions. And I have seen this, but I've never tried it. It does look like something similar that I've seen in one of these hack videos where you can use a mason jar with similar results. So I'll quickly do a little side-by-side test with the Negg and a mason jar and see if there's any difference. All right. Let's get going on making our penguin's egg, shall we? So what I have here is a bowl of beautiful eggs. We have 3 different species of bird here. We have our standard chicken, duck, and quail. So I found the duck and the quail eggs at my local Asian market. I couldn't resist the quail eggs. When my sons were little tiny guys, they loved eating these quail eggs. They taste very, very similar to a chicken's egg. In fact, I don't think I could tell the difference. Although the ratio to yolk to white is a little bit different, the yolks are quite large in a quail's egg. Delicious and very, very cute. I love dyeing these during Easter. So stinking cute. Now the duck eggs, as you can see, are almost twice the size of a chicken's egg. So my hunch is that since the duck egg is larger than the chicken egg, the yolk will also be relatively larger. Because I'm trying to simulate a penguin's egg, I want the largest yolk possible. But I don't know this for a fact. So I hard-boiled both of these eggs. I'm going to peel them and remove the yolks and compare them and see if, yes, indeed, the duck yolk is larger. Let's find out. So these are all hard-boiled. I cooked the duck eggs for about 12 minutes and the chicken eggs for about 8 and the little tiny quail eggs for about 4. If you missed my eggies video where I shared my favorite hard-boiled easy peel egg technique, I'll put the link there and there. So first things first, we're going to peel our eggs. I'm going to use the 2 chicken eggs first. It claims to be the greatest egg peeler, the Negg. My hunch is that it's really more about the boiling technique rather than the gadget itself. That's just my hunch. And it includes the best boiled egg recipe. And after reading this, this is exactly the same way as I boil my hard-boiled eggs. So inside here are some little egg-shaped bumps. And I think this is supposed to give a little bit more friction so the shell comes off a little bit easier. I'm gonna place our egg in there and we're gonna add a 1/4 cup of water. Look, I'm even measuring this. So basically you put the water to the bottom bump here. And let's do the same thing in the mason jar. Chicken egg. Let's do the Negg first. We're supposed to shake this 4 to 12 times until the egg feels kind of soft. All right, here we go. Oh, that feels squishy. And here is the egg. Oh, look at that. I'm doing a little peeling, but not much. And there it is, a beautifully peeled egg. So there's the Negg egg. Now let's compare it with mason jar. All right, here we go. Feels about the same in terms of shaking. It starts to get kind of squishy. All right, pull it out. And this too peels beautifully, look. Almost in one entire piece. Lovely. The Negg totally works, and the mason jar totally works. So if you don't have a Negg, you can just use a jelly jar at home with a lid. Any kind of container, I think, actually, that has this kind of dimension would work. Just add a little bit of water, put your hard-boiled egg in there, shake vigorously, and you've got very easy to peel eggs. I wouldn't go and purchase this, but this was super fun to test anyway. So thanks again, Lee, for sending this to me. All right, so we tested the Negg with a chicken egg. Let's test it with a duck egg. Significantly larger. Put that in there, same amount of water. Ooh, shell's harder, definitely harder. Not quite as easy to peel as the chicken egg. I think what's happened here is the proportion of egg to chamber has shifted because the egg is so much larger. So I don't think the Negg works so well with a duck egg. Also, the membrane on a duck egg is much thicker. So yeah. So if you have duck eggs, just peel them by hand, don't use the Negg. All right, so there is my duck egg. The albumin is a little bit whiter in color in the duck egg than the chicken egg. Quail egg in there, got some old shell, but I don't think that will matter. Snap that on, give that a shake. This one too doesn't become unshelled that well. This also has a much thicker membrane than the chicken egg, so yeah, didn't work so great for the quail egg either. At any rate, here is the quail egg, and I love quail eggs. The inside membrane has a very light blue color to it. Cute. And there is our quail egg. Hard-boiled eggs are peeled. Now we're going to peel the whites off and do a little comparison of the cooked yolks. Duck, chicken, quail. It's actually not round. I was expecting it to be perfectly round, but it's not. When I bought these eggs, they were in a styrofoam tray and they were on their sides rather than sitting straight up like they would in a carton. So perhaps that had something to do with why this yolk is not circular. There's my little duck yolk. Duck white is much firmer in texture than the chicken white. This one's got a little bit more bounce to it. This is a little bit more firm. And there is my chicken yolk. It's about half the size of the duck yolk and brighter yellow in color. Oh, it's so cute and tiny. Cross-species comparison here. Duck, chicken, quail. Now that we have our yolks prepared, we are going to make the faux white part of the egg, and we're going to use a little bit of agar-agar. So agar is a vegetarian gelatin substitute, and it is derived from seaweed, and I've used it in a couple of my videos. I've used it most famously in my raindrop cake video, and most recently in my kohakuto video, which I made beautiful little edible crystal gems. So what I've learned from those videos is that agar-agar is a little bit different between manufacturers. In terms of the process of refining, they're going to be a little bit different. So let me show you what I mean. I've got two brands of agar-agar here. This one that's a little bit milkier in color is the telephone brand, and this is the Thai version. And this one here that is pretty white in color is this homemade cake brand, and this comes from Japan. Both these are labeled agar-agar, but they have very different properties. When they gel up, this one is much clearer, and this one has much more of a cloudy appearance. Now, I want to test two different recipes because in the photos that I saw of the hard-boiled penguin's eggs, they had this kind of translucent, kind of milky color, which is more reminiscent of the Thai agar-agar. But I also want to make a clear version because I want to revisit my raindrop cake recipe. So I'm going to do both these and compare them. So this is just 1 gram of the telephone brand agar, and this is 8 grams of the homemade cake brand. So the gelling properties of agar-agar are activated with heat. So we need to bring this to a boil. 250 mLs of water. So let's add our water here. And our 1 gram of agar powder. Now I found with the telephone brand, there's no need to bloom this separately. It dissolves very readily, just like this. So we just do that, no problem in dissolving. So while that's coming up to a simmer, I'm going to take the other homemade cake agar and add it to a bowl and add a couple teaspoons of water to the agar. mix this up. This agar, on the other hand, is really difficult to combine in water without getting lumps. To this one, we add just a little bit of water at a time to create a paste before we add the remaining water. All right, so this is coming to a rapid boil. I'm going to turn this down. I've got a little gel here. I'm going to let this sit for 10 minutes or so while I prepare the other version, and then I will melt this one as well. So I'm going to be using the same mold that I used in my raindrop cake video, and this is actually a sphere ice mold. And because I'm curious, and I've seen it in other videos, people have used wine glasses to create a raindrop cake, so I'm going to try doing that as well, just in case you don't have one of these kind of, lying around your house. The way this particular mold works, there's a little fill line, and you put the water, or in this case, the agar, to this level here. Now I'm going to take my duck yolk, place that in there, and then top that with some more agar, right to the fill line. Now we're going to take this lid and press that in there, and the excess will come off through the top. Now we're going to place this in the refrigerator probably for a couple hours until the agar sets. Now I'm going to do the same thing with a wine glass. Pour some of the agar in there, place the chicken egg in there, top it with more of the gel. Okay. All right, we'll see what happens on that one. Here we're going to add some water and the bloomed gel that we had earlier. All right, it's come to a rapid boil. Let me turn this down to low. Okay, so we're just going to do the same thing as we did with the other agar. We're just going to fill this mold and also do a wine glass version as well. So this is cooled for a little bit. I don't want this to cool too much, otherwise it'll be too thick to pour. But again, I'm going to pour this here. Top it with our gel. Place this on top. And press out the excess. So for my last experiment, I'm going to do a little hybrid. I'm going to do half the telephone brand and half the homemade cakey brand. Boop. All right, see you tomorrow. All right, it's been 24 hours since I made my faux penguin's eggs, and now we're going to unmold them. Let's take this off. Let me just invert it. Oh my gosh, here it is. There it is. The sphere of egg. So as you can see, my yolk sunk to the bottom. But still, look at that. I love it. Look at jiggle. Look at it jiggle. Look at it wiggle. Very, very excited about this. Look at this beautiful thing. Isn't it wonderful? It's so beautiful. I love it. I love it. I love it. So that was attempt number 1. Actually more translucent than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be crystal clear, but perhaps there's some of the yolk that got incorporated into that. But it is a little bit firmer than a raindrop cake, and it jiggles oh so beautifully. Let's try the telephone brand. And let's open this one. Ooh, that one too slips out very nicely. And there's the telephone brand. And that one too looks pretty beautiful. The white looks milkier, and the yolk is not perfectly round, which is a little disappointing because it makes it look less like an egg. But that one turned out pretty well. This one's definitely firmer. It's got more of a kind of bouncy ball look to it. But I love the sphere shape. So let me show you that one up close. So those were the sphere molds. They definitely look much more like an egg, although a perfectly round egg as opposed to an ovate egg. Now let's check our wine glasses. So this one is the hybrid of the 2 brands of agar. And that almost looks like a fried egg. Look at that. Now this one has a much, oh, that one broke. You have to be very gentle when taking those out. If we kind of do that, you can't quite tell that it broke. So all the eggs have been unmolded. I would say aesthetically the most successful one for me would probably be the homemade cake one, the Japanese agar. I like the transparency on this one. You can see the yolk of the duck egg. I didn't expect the duck egg's yolk to be so light in color. I would have liked to have a little bit more color contrast, more like the chicken egg, but I didn't know that about duck eggs. I love the jello-y texture of this, and I think that's why I think this one's a little bit more successful, because you can see there's more of a contrast between the transparency of the white and the opaqueness of the yolk. Because there's a proportionately higher amount of agar, it retains more of the spherical shape rather than kind of settling into that raindrop shape. I'm going to crack open my sardines. I love sardines, by the way. Really great on crackers with a little bit of fresh onion. All right, let's cut this egg in half. Oh, I don't want to do it. Here we go. And there it is. Now I'm going to cut into the Japanese agar egg. Here we go. Oh, I don't want to. It's so beautiful. There's a good amount of resistance with the yolk. Oh, it's beautiful. Look at that. And there it is. So stinking beautiful. I'm dying to try it. Take a little bit of my sardine oil. Whoa, a lot of sardine oil. Drizzle it on there. Look at that. All right. I think the yolk is going to be a pretty central part of this, so I'm going to have it with the yolk. All right, here we go. Itadakimasu. And that's pretty tasty. I don't know what a penguin egg tastes like, but that tastes like a penguin's egg. It doesn't. I have no idea what a penguin egg tastes like, but that tastes like sardines, which are oily, minerally, calciumy, have kind of a little metallic, fishy flavor, which is rich and intense. A little bit fishy, but I love it. And it goes really, really well with this egg yolk. And I like my eggs cooked this way, where the egg yolk is a little bit creamy. The egg white that we created here is very jellied. It's like a jello. It doesn't have any gelatin flavor at all. It just tastes like it's been dunked in sardine oil, which it has. It's cool. So there's this nice little kind of slippery, cool contrast with the kind of creamy yolk of the duck egg. Delicious. Let's taste the telephone brand. I'm not imagining there's going to be any difference in taste, but I think there's going to be a difference in texture. And let's confirm that. So again, a good drizzle of the sardine oil, and we'll cut that open. Come back here. Come back here. All right, here we go. And that actually is very, very different. The agar in this has a much crunchier texture, not so much of a gel. The other one is much more like a jello. It's bouncy and soft and jiggly, while this is gel-like, but much more brittle, actually. So it's stiffer and more brittle in texture. It's kind of crunchy. Yeah, not cartilaginous crunchy, but firm jello crunchy. But same wonderful flavor things going on here. That really intense fishy sardine flavor and the eggs go really well together. Texturally though, I prefer the Japanese agar. I really like that kind of homogeneous, really soft gel-like texture rather than the crunchy texture. So there you have it, a little slice into my penguin egg obsessed brain. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. I hope you guys learned something like this video. So I know you like these little wacky videos. Share this video with your friends, because sharing, is caring. Follow me on social media so you can see how you can win the Negg. And Lee, thank you so much for sending this to me. And I shall see you in my next one. Toodaloo, take care, bye.